Mahomes looks to throw it. Pump faking, right side. He wants it. A comeback cut. It is caught by Kelsey. Touchdown, Kansas City. The game is over. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions. How about those Chiefs?
Welcome to another episode of the Kingdom Corner here with Dale and Andrew. We are previewing the game coming up against the Vikings this Sunday afternoon, the 3:25 game. So, Dale, how are we feeling about the Vikings so far?
Man, who are the Vikings? What are the Vikings? And, I mean, they're a dangerous team. Kirk Cousins he can sling the ball around. I mean, tough as nails. The dude gets punished.
Yes,
in the backfield, punished. And so, which I thought they'd figure out that you should protect your quarterback, but I guess not up there in Minnesota. They don't care. But yeah, they play everybody close. And so that's something we've noticed so far in the trends this year. And last year they played everybody close. And I think they won 11 games with one score games. And so that's pretty impressive. So it's one of those things that I think we say every week, but it's a team we can't overlook. It's a team you can't just say, "Oh, we're going to dog walk these guys. They're 1-3." No, they got people out there that can play, and I think of their wide receiver and their quarterback in particular.
Yeah, they have probably, in my opinion, the best quarterback that's currently playing in the NFL, in Justin Jefferson.
Wide receiver.
In wide receiver, yes.
Yeah. Not quarterback. I was going to say.
Not player, wide receiver. The best
wide receiver. Okay.
The best current an active wide receiver in the NFL. And to your point, they're only 1-3, but in their 3 losses, they have combined to lose by 13 points. Through all 3 games, 13 points is the difference. So
wow.
So basically, every game is 3-4 points right there. So it's close, and those are the kind of games that kind of make me a little bit nervous too, because the Chiefs love to play close. Like, they do not. Typically, now there's exceptions, like when they played the Bears a couple weeks ago, but typically the Chiefs tend to play to their opponent rather than playing their game, right?
Right.
And so the Bears, when they played them, they blew them out, and that was the exception. But more times than not, they play their opponent, as we saw even last year against the Colts when they ended up dropping that game to the Colts when they shouldn't have even lost. But So they play to their opponent, the Chiefs do, more than just about any team, it seems like.
Right. Yeah. Which is great, right?
Well, it's great if they're playing good competition, but isn't maybe not so great if you're not playing what you might consider a great team, and then you start playing down to how they're playing. It's like, man, we wouldn't play at this high level week after week, and they just, for whatever reason, tend to play to their opponent.
Yeah. And I think, do you think we've done that this year so far?
Some, yes.
Yeah, I think I think the Jets game we did for sure. We didn't get we weren't in a rhythm. Pat was off, which he admits he was off, had a bad game, and luckily everyone else kind of picked him up. But yeah, I think, I felt like we were in control of the Jacksonville game, right? The Lions game was tough because no Travis Kelce first game, bunch of young wide receivers dropping the ball.
No Chris Jones.
And then the Bears. What are we gonna?
And I'll say this about the Jets game too, which I don't know we talked about too much. I'm not going to rehash that too much either. But we've talked for a long time about the Jets' offensive line being awful, and we maybe created the least amount of pressure in any game so far against the Jets. And so that might be a cause for, maybe I should ask, is that a cause for concern moving forward, or is that just a one-time fluke?
One-time fluke.
All right. So the Chiefs' rush defense has not lost their step or lost.
No. And I think what the benefit of having Pat and the boys is usually we are playing from a lead.
Yeah.
Right. We're not playing behind. And so, but we're capable of playing from behind offensively. But yeah, I think it was a fluke. So, like we said, we covered that Jets game. I mean, Zach Wilson was putting balls that he's his best game of his life. Best game of his career, NFL career.
No doubt.
Easily, hands down. I mean, everyone's saying that. And so that's throwing shade at Zach. I mean, I hope he does well. I want everyone to do well in the NFL. Except for when they play the Chiefs. But like,
of course.
but no, like he was playing really good, and so it'll be. I mean, but they still lost, right? So even though he had a great game, doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah, as long as you get the W, that's what really matters. So
exactly.
Yeah, even in the Super Bowls, both Super Bowls that we've won recently, we were behind in both those games and came back to win at the end. So doesn't matter if you win by 1 or by 30, you still get the W.
You still get the dub. And
yeah.
So that's great.
Well, let's jump into some of these numbers for as far as the Chiefs and the Vikings go. So let's start with the Chiefs offense. The Chiefs offense is now number 3 overall, and they measure these by total yards.
Wow.
And so the Chiefs offense is number 3 overall, which honestly surprised me a little bit because the Chiefs pass offense especially seems to be struggling a little bit more, but their rushing is doing better than they were last year. So they're 3rd overall. They're number 6 in passing. They're number 9 in rushing, and they're number 9 in scoring, averaging about 25 points a game.
Yeah. So they're pretty balanced team there.
Yeah, and so they're going to be going up against a Vikings defense, which is 20th in the league. They're 21st in passing, they're 15th in rushing, and number 19th in scoring, giving up about 24 points a game.
Okay.
So we've mentioned it briefly before, and it's been well documented across many platforms that the Vikings defense is not good. That's not their strength at all. So these numbers kind of look even better than what I thought they would, honestly, just based on how they played so far this year.
Yeah.
But then we got the Vikings offense, which is pretty good. The Vikings offense is number 9th overall. They're 3rd in passing, so even better than the Chiefs. They're 28th in rushing, though, and 16th in scoring, averaging about 22 points a game.
Okay.
So that rushing is a big thing. So they're a pass-heavy offense,
right?
Which we'll talk about here more in a second, probably about if that works well for the Chiefs or not. But they're going to be going against the Chiefs defense, which is number 8th in the league now.
Woo! Top 10 defense. Give us a top 10 defense. All right.
Hey, how long have we said what happens if you give Patrick Mahomes a top 10 defense?
Well, I know you and I have been saying it for 6 years.
Yes, we have. Yeah. I don't know if anybody else has, but they probably have to at some point. But we have for sure for saying if he ever had a top 10 defense, I don't know how you're going to beat him.
I don't know.
Unless you take all of his wide receivers away, then we'll find out, I guess.
And then we'll find out with you. You just
you just give him a bunch of 1 and 2 year receivers, who knows what will happen. But I guess we'll find out this year, huh? So they're number 8th overall. They're 8th in pass defense. They're 12th in the rush defense, and they're 6th in scoring, giving about 15 points a game. And there's been points in several games so far this year that have been given up by the offense that gets credited towards the defense. Like a pick 6 and a safety. And so you could argue that they would have an even better scoring defense if it weren't for those things. So how do you feel about that matchup now with the Chiefs and the Vikings?
Yeah, I still feel good. One of my keys I'll share later about our defense. I think that's the big key is our defense. But yeah, I think watching a couple of Viking games where I think that people were able to move the ball on them, and I think you just need to be able to move the ball and finish in the red zone. And which I don't know if you have the numbers in front of you. What is the Chiefs? I mean, I knew they were pretty high up there in red zone efficiency. I think they were number 1 last week in the league, and so I don't know if that's changed this week. But yeah, they've been pretty good.
Yes,
in the red zone. And so I think it's just like, let's finish these drives and let's move the ball in this defense. And I think defense just got to stay disciplined. I know last week was it Watson? We were out a corner, and so he's played really big. And so I think he'll be back. I think everyone practiced this week. And so, I think our defense will be back and running around. I mean, it's super young and it's super fast. And hopefully Nick Bolton will be back. I mean, missing Nick Bolton was huge against the Jets. I think he's a big run stopper. I mean, just watch the Tennessee Titans game with Nick Bolton and can shut down Derrick Henry. So he's not afraid to make big tackles. And so I think Nick Bolton will be, even though I think, which we didn't get to talk about, was just the depth the Chiefs have, which is pretty impressive.
It is very impressive.
Like in certain on all the positions. So it's not just like, oh man, we lost Nick Bolton and we just got destroyed. No, we have Tranquil, we have Chanel, we have like all these other guys that can come in and play play good minutes and play good football.
Yeah, I want to put something out there too that I've been reading on X lately. There are people saying that Nick Bolton, there's no need to pay him or keep him around because with him being gone, it's proven that we can do it with anybody. And I'm thinking these people don't understand what they're saying. They don't understand.
Right.
We struggled with that position for years. After Derek Johnson left, we haven't really found a good person to fill that in until Nick Bolton came around.
Right.
And the only reason why, I don't want to say the only reason, but one of the reasons why the defense is doing so well without him is because they do have Drew Tranquil. And they still have Willie Gay there, right?
Right.
So they have a backup, so to speak, in Drew Tranquil, even though he still plays a lot. But a backup, so to speak, who would be a starter on any other team. That's why they're doing so well. Not because it's not Nick Bolton, or not because it's just the system, but because they have quality players, to your point, in depth. They don't just have depth for depth. They have depth and quality depth.
Yes. And that's important for a championship team. You can't be so dependent. I mean, I look you look at like Josh Allen or the Buffalo Bills. I mean, one guy goes down, Von Miller goes down, and the whole defense falls apart, and Poyer and Hyde, go down, and like and then I think that's the important thing about a defensive team or just a championship team would be just having depth in all different areas that you kind of can mask that until that person gets back. So.
Yeah. And, most teams in the offseason, they're trying to argue out who's going to be the 1 or 2 in any position. If you remember this offseason going into the year, the Chiefs and the Chiefs fans in particular, they were arguing about who's going to be number 7 and 8 on the depth chart.
Yeah.
Who was going to make the team in that position. And so that speaks volumes to the depth that
even our quarterback room.
Is. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Our quarterback room, our running back room, our wide receivers, our cornerbacks, and our linebackers. Those are all topics of debate of who was going to make the team and who wasn't. And usually fans don't care too much about the bottom of the depth chart. There's like, I just want to know who's going to be 1 and 2 or whatever it is. And so it just speaks to the depth that Veach has been able to create in all these positions. So that's been really good. All right. So let's jump into our players of the week here, so to speak, or whatever segment you want to call it. And so here are some blind players, some stats. These are receiver players. And so I'm going to give you the stats. You can try to guess who they are, or at least tell me just based on the stats, who you would take based on the stats.
Oh, okay. Based on the stats, who would I take in this?
Yeah. So you're going to tell me who you take based on the stats. And then if you want, you can try to guess who they are. So player A here. Right, player A has 203 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, 4.1 yards after the catch, has a long catch of 24 yards, has 1 fumble on the year, has an 81% catch percentage, and is responsible for 14% of their team's air yards. As far as any time the ball is thrown, they account for 14% of those yards. So that's player A. So player B, very similar. These guys are both really close. So it's
really close.
It's going to be hard to pick between these. But that being said, player B has 155 yards, has 2 touchdowns as well, has 4.5 yards after the catch, also has a long of 24 yards, has 0 fumbles. But this is where he drops off a little bit. Has 65% catch percentage, but he is responsible for 16% of his team's air yards. So based on those stats, player A or player B, who would you pick between those?
All right. So why do I get a hint or you just want me to pick?
Nothing. You don't get nothing.
These are wide receivers. Are these like running backs that catch, or are these tight ends?
They could be.
Oh man! All right, I think I'm going to lose on this guessing because I'm trying to think. I was trying to guess.
Go ahead.
Okay, all right. I was trying to guess what because you sent me the graphic on my phone here, so I'm able to look at it more closely.
Yeah, and I'm trying to see. Listening or watching can see it on the screen.
Yeah, and so the player on the right looks like a tight end to me.
All right.
So, but then I'm like, these numbers have to be, these yards have to be so low for like a Travis Kelce, right? These have to be, they can't be right. I mean, but
I
then
can't
again,
tell you who they are or what
oh,
they are
okay,
until
all right,
once you guess, I will reveal what it is. But
okay, all right.
this is what it is. It's up to you to figure out who you'd pick, and then you can try guess who
Okay,
they
and
are.
then I'll tell you who it is. Okay, all right. So I would pick player A because of the 81% catch, right? I mean, one fumble. He made a mistake, one fumble, 24 yards long, 4.1 yards, 2 touchdowns, 203 yards. 14, 16, really not. You're splitting hairs there, right? So I mean, I would take player A, but I'm feeling I did not pick a Chief.
You're correct. You did not pick a Chief.
So I would feel that you are baiting me to pick against one of my favorite players ever, Travis Kelce.
It is.
And,
these are both tight ends here.
And then
TJ Hawkinson and Travis
TJ
Kelce.
Hawkinson. Okay, all right. So I picked TJ.
But you picked TJ. So
man, I'm sorry. It was birthday Thursday.
I know. Travis, I'm sorry that Dale did not pick you. I would always pick you. You always have a place here. So,
I guess
those are so good. But you also remember too, Travis Kelce didn't play in the game.
So if he would have played a game, I think I would have picked Travis. I thought because Travis would have had more. Yeah, he would have definitely more yards. Yeah,
and he might have close to the same amount of yards if he played in that first game. But if I tell you if it's a tight end, I think it's too easy for you to try to guess who it is. So.
That would have been too easy. Noah Gray, and who's the backup tight end on the? I don't know, but Noah Gray.
I mean, I thought about that too. I thought about doing some backups, but we didn't quite get there. So.
Yeah.
But here's a random stat for you, or maybe a question that you can try to guess. But do you have any idea who is leading the Chiefs currently in receiving yards?
Gee whiz. Okay, so
I'll tell you, it's not Travis Kelce.
Okay, all right. Hey, thanks for that. Because 155. So, do you have the number of yards? Can I get the number of yards?
163.
Okay.
So it's not leading him by much.
All of Rashid Rice's catches have been like short and not very long, but that would be my first guess. Then MVS, I think we need to start putting posters up. I think he's lost. I think we need to start.
someone has stolen his identity. Is shooting up for him.
Someone is. I don't know where he's been. But how about I'm going to go.
There's 6 guys that have over 100 yards.
I'm going to go Justin Watson, the dark horse, Justin Watson, because he's had long catches.
You're correct. He leads with 163 yards. Travis Kelce is second with 155. But then to your point, Rashid Rice is third with 140.
Yeah.
So
that would be my first guess because I feel like I heard his name more, but I thought it was like, now Watson's got some deep passes already this year. And he seems pretty consistent. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not sure where all the haters were for him beginning the season when they said he shouldn't make the team, but he's your leading receiver right now.
Right.
Welcome.
Yeah. Rashid Rice is going to be a star. Mark my words. It's out there. He's going to be a star this year.
I think I'm on record saying that he's going to lead the Chiefs wide receivers in yards.
It takes me a while. I'm a little slow. I went to public school, so it takes me a while to get on board here. But I think Rashid Rice him and Mahomes. I think are developing a connection that's going to be special. So I think that kind of juju, not Tyreek Hill connection, but I think the juju.
Yeah, Well, and he's not as big as Juju, but he does great with yards after the catch too. So
and he finds space.
Yeah,
he finds the space.
He's starting to learn how to find space.
Yeah,
I think all those receivers, especially the first game receivers, were struggling to find that space, and they're learning how to do it now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So talking about wide receivers, do you think the wide receiver issue is over, or is it still an issue?
I think it's over.
We had some drops. They had inconsistency. They couldn't get open.
I think we remember if we go back to last year and we start listening to our podcast, I think we had the same concerns about our wide receivers. Juju really didn't have a big game until I think that Raiders game. And that was October, I believe. And so I just think, or maybe it was
Right.
early September.
Well,
Yeah.
the difference is too that Juju has a lot more experience as a veteran,
Yeah.
and we have now, other than MVS,
Right.
guys that have very little experience.
And then I think Pat and Travis have both been on the record that this is probably the most talented wide receiver room they've had from top to bottom. And so that's saying a lot, just from top to bottom. I know that's not throwing shade at like Tyreek or Pringle, but I mean, just talent wise, they have from top to bottom would be this room. And so I think they're gonna figure it out. Andy Reid's gonna figure it out, and so I trust Andy Reid to figure it out. So I don't think it's an issue. I think I did see a tweet on X, a post on X, where it was like the same exact numbers as last year. The wide receivers had like the same identical numbers for 4 touchdowns. Yeah. And so I don't know how true it is, but I was like,
the difference is too, though, is that Travis Kelce doesn't have the numbers he did last year, and he was out for a game this year.
Yeah.
And so those numbers should be higher because he wasn't in there for a game, which means they would have more opportunity in that first game.
Right.
In the second game back, he was you could tell watching, he's still a little banged up and gingerly moving. So really, there's 2 games there that you would have had more opportunity as a receiver to improve those yards, and they didn't. So
they're
the same as last year, but the overall passing yards is down because they didn't take advantage of that opportunity.
Well, do you remember that Patriot team that used Gronk and
I try not to remember any of those teams. So.
Okay, all right, I know. But I mean, like that Patriots team where he had Gronk and Aaron Hernandez, right?
Yeah.
I think they need to do more of that. Noah Gray and Travis Kelce.
Yeah, Noah Gray had a huge catch in this last game.
Yeah, and Travis Kelce was on the field
or something. Yeah,
I think that's going to open him up. I think it's going to create a mismatch. Not that hey, let's text Andy Reid. Let's tell him, hey, get Noah Gray and Travis Kelce on there. I think Noah Gray is getting to that point where he's figuring it out and finding the space, and he can beat a linebacker. He's fast enough, to beat a linebacker, and so or even a small corner. Put a small corner on him. He's a big guy. So I think I'd like to see that package a little more for just Mahomes, and just start creating that chemistry, because as we know, Travis Kelce's got 2 to 3 years left. Good years. Not hopefully he can play forever, but I don't think that's possible.
Probably not unless science advances really quickly. So
no.
But I think too, though, that Travis Kelce, he's got maybe a year or 2 left, and so Mahomes has got to figure out who his next guy is going to be, or the Chiefs do, the GM or whoever. Whether that's Noah Gray or whether this having a wide receiver, but you got to have somebody as like your person that you trust, that's a security blanket, like Travis Kelce is. All the great quarterbacks have that, right? Kirk Cousins has Justin Jefferson, who had maybe the best catch I've ever seen in my life last year, I believe, against the Buffalo Bills, falling backwards. And that guy is elite, no doubt.
Yes.
So, but all the great quarterbacks, and if you want to consider Kirk Cousins great or not, but Tom Brady had Gronk, right?
Yeah. Edelman, Danny Amendola,
but they all have at least one guy, though.
Right.
At least one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, during that, Brady played for a long time, 20 years.
Right.
So, I mean, like,
I'm
it changed.
Saying, at least, like even Troy Aikman, right, had Michael Irvin.
Yeah.
Right. Joe Montana had Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
Right. So all these guys who are elite quarterbacks had at least one guy they could count on in tough and difficult moments. And that's what the Chiefs and Mahomes needs. And right now, Mahomes seems to be a little bit frustrated with some of his receivers. I mean, he seems to be running more. And I think part of that is they're not reading the defense like he is, or like Travis Kelce is. Right. That touchdown pass last week to Travis Kelce, that was in the back of the end zone, they had them mic'd up on the side, and Mahomes over saying, man, he didn't even run the right route. He's supposed to run the corner route, but he ran it to the middle. And Kelce said after, he's like, well, I just saw what the defense was, and I knew the corner route wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
And so he says, as soon as he snapped the ball, I wasn't running it because it was covered. And so if we can get, and I'm not saying these other areas have to figure it out to the level that Kelce does, because Kelce is elite when it comes to reading defenses as a receiver.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, elite. I don't know if there is a better receiver, period, across the NFL that reads defenses better than Kelce does. But that being said, some of these young receivers, they got to figure out how to read them at least somewhat. Because Mahomes isn't necessarily throwing bad balls, but he's putting where the guy is supposed to be going, or as you read the defense where you're supposed to be going. And these guys, they're just running their routes. which, you think is good, but it's good part of it, but you got to finish the route by running what the defense gives you.
Yeah.
So if Mahomes throws you to the back shoulder, even though you're supposed to go inside, that's because he doesn't want you to get your head knocked off.
Right.
Or whatever the case may be. And so I think they'll develop it and they'll learn and get better, but I do think that's something to watch is just Mahomes and the chemistry between these young receivers.
Yeah, I think it'll continue to get better. I mean, they'll figure it out. They'll put in the extra work. Mahomes is determined and dedicated to his craft, and so hopefully one of these guys, hopefully it's a Rashid Rice or a Sky Moore or someone like that, will be like, okay, we can get open for you, man. And that's, I mean, like, I think that's where you're talking about him running more is he usually doesn't run until the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so we have seen him run a lot more, but he may be the best quarterback runner ever. In my opinion,
as far as opportunities, yes, but
I mean, smart, like this,
okay,
like
the smart runs,
yes.
yes. But,
like
I mean,
he knows, like
think about the history of like Michael Vicks and stuff. I mean, it's hard to say the best quarterback runner ever, but
I mean, like
as far as running in the right opportunity, yes, absolutely.
Like he knows he's going to get 25 yards. Like he needed 22, he got 23. You know what I mean? Like he knew, like I can get that. Like that's what I mean by smart. Like Mike Vick was just relying on his athleticism. Lamar Jackson relying on his athleticism. Like I'm going to make a play and wow you. Mahomes is like I'm going to run and I know I'm getting the first down. Like there's not a question in my mind. And so it's just how smart he is about running, and when he runs is not like an accident.
Yeah,
like he runs knowing he can get the first down. Where I'm saying, like, he'll stay back there and throw or run to the sideline. Like, I'll throw to get the first down because I can't run to get the first down. So that's what I'm saying. Like, how he sees the field and perceives it and then makes the right call is unreal to me. Unreal.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into our matchups to watch. My matchup is the easy one. I think it's watching Justin Jefferson against those corners. I think that guy, like I mentioned before, I think he's the best receiver in the NFL right now.
Yeah, easily.
And so I think how those cornerbacks match up and how they play him, whether they double cover him or have a safety helping over top, whatever. Right. You got to do something to slow him down because that guy is elite and he's huge.
Yeah.
He can catch anything within about a 10-yard radius, it seems like. So
I know wide receiver watch. I know wide receivers like to say I'm always open, but he is. He is always open. He is the one. He really is the one that it's always open. So my McKee or matchup is to watch for is for our defense and Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is notorious for making a mistake or two mistakes, and I think our defense needs to capitalize on those mistakes. So if it's a fumble or if it's a bad ball thrown, we just need to come up with those turnovers, right? Let's get in the plus. Yeah. Let's get in the plus, not the minus, right?
Yeah, well, the Vikings lead the league in fumbles this year with 7.
So, I mean, like, let's just capitalize on that. And I'm sure the coaches got the boys humming and ready and looking for that. But you have got to capitalize on the mistakes that Kirk Cousins. He kind of just hands the ball to a DB once a game, it seems like. And so let's just capitalize on that.
Yeah. So I think the key to the game for the Chiefs to win is they have to slow down the pass, right? As we mentioned, the Vikings have a questionable defense at best. Their offense is great, but only their passing offense. They're 28th in rushing offense, which means that they're relying on their pass a lot. And so the Chiefs got to figure out how to at least slow down that passing attack and not let Justin Jefferson beat him or any of the other wide receivers or tight ends. They got to figure out. So I think if they can slow down and get pressure on Kirk Cousins, because Kirk Cousins is not a mobile quarterback.
No.
If they can get pressure on him and slow down that pass attack, I think that is going to be the key for the Chiefs.
But that guy can take a hit. Gee whiz.
Yes, he can. No doubt.
So I know we didn't even talk about this before, but that's kind of my key for the game to win. All right, we need 3 long drives, 10 plus plays. So, I mean, I think that is going to be that's going to slow that pass game down. Just maybe 1 or 2 less possessions, I think will help our defense. And then I think we just need to go long drives.
Yeah.
For that, because they're gonna put 2 safeties. We know this over top, and so we just need to go 10 plays at least 3 times in the game. So, and then hopefully be playing from a lead. And I think that helps our defense in the sense that, like, okay, we know they got to pass. They know where they're playing from behind. So There's my keys.
All right. Score predictions for this week. I think this is going to be a high scoring game.
Okay, yeah, I think so.
It's going to be a shootout between the two because the Chiefs defense is probably going to show up and make a few plays and slow down that Vikings offense. But overall, they're still going to make their plays, and I think it's going to be a close game. I have the Chiefs 31, Vikings 28.
Chiefs 31, so you're okay. So the spread 3-point game. So the spread Vegas had was at 5, and now it's at 3.5, which means that the Chiefs were favored 5 points, but it means a lot of people are betting on the Vikings, and so it's lowered the number. They say 52 points over under. I think you're right. I think it's going to be a high scoring affair. I'm going to give it 35-20.
All right.
Chiefs 35-20.
We'll find out. I hope you're right. I'd like that score a lot better.
I think it's going to be
less stressful.
Yeah, we're going to get some touchdowns, and then we're going to get some stops. I think the Vikings are, as I said last year, fool's gold. Fool's gold.
I was telling you earlier, I think the Vikings are the NFC version of the Chargers.
Yeah.
Where the Chargers, they're a great team every year. They're going to compete, but they tend to have games that are one possession games, and they always tend to get a few of those, but more times than not, they tend to lose a lot of those. And last year, the Vikings just fell on the side of winning them, and the side they're falling on the end of losing them. Like I said earlier, all 3 of their games that they've lost are combined points that they've lost by 13 points. So that's
all right. Well, we're going to double that up. We're going to double that up this weekend.
I hope so.
Yeah. So I just think they're at a point. The defense is going to be. I mean, this is probably the best defense they faced all year, right? Vikings.
Maybe. The Jets defense is pretty good.
That's true.
I don't know if I'd put them above the Jets defense.
No, probably not. But the Jets offense can't score. I think we can score. And I think I think Pat and Travis, unfortunately, we live in that generation where you just hear everything. Like I knew it was back in the day. You don't listen to the media. You don't do that. But I think they hear everyone's talking about the Bills and how they're the best team. They're the team to beat now. And so I think maybe this is going to be a statement game for the Kansas City Chiefs. Don't forget about us. Don't forget about us down here.
Yeah, we'll find out. So, yes. So that's what we got for this upcoming game. Did you want to hit the top
yeah.
AFC
Let's
here?
go. I think we're going to bring a new segment in here for Andrew since he gives me the comparisons. I thought what would be Andrew's power rankings on the AFC? Just the AFC. We don't really care about the NFC right now at this point because we know. I think you can figure out who the good teams are: the Eagles and the 49ers. But who are our AFC power rankings top 5?
All right. Well, some of these might surprise a few people, but you have to remember there's only a few teams that have only lost one game in the AFC, and so some of them are going to have 2 losses and be sitting at 2-2 right now. So right now my 5th place team is the Chargers. So Chargers number 5. I have the Ravens number 4. I think Lamar Jackson and them are sneakily being back to who they were a couple years ago. Now, can Lamar Jackson stay healthy? We'll find out, right? But they've been struggling the last couple of years, but this year they're on pace to be close to what they were a few years ago when everybody was talking about Lamar maybe being the best quarterback. So I think they're scary. Team to watch.
That's scary.
Team to watch. Miami Dolphins, number 3, right?
All right.
So they have a lot of firepower. I think their defense is the question mark for them.
Okay.
And the other question mark, can Tua stay healthy? Right. So that's a big question when it comes to their offense. So Miami, number 3, Buffalo, number 2, right? They just beat Miami and beat them pretty handily. And so I think they beat them by 28 points or something like that. And so maybe not 28, but it is a lot, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so the Bills have got to be in front of Miami, at least for right now, just because of how easily they seem to handle Miami.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'm a little bit of a homer, but I'm putting the Chiefs at number 1. I think there's debate of Buffalo and the Chiefs, between those two being number one right now. But right now, I'm going to give the edge to the Chiefs. I think their defense is playing elite. Like we mentioned, they're a top 10 defense now, and Mahomes has never had that before. And so we're going to ride with that. And I think if they figure out this offense as well, which they're looking like they are more every week, the Chiefs are not a team anybody's going to want to face, especially when it comes time to the playoffs.
No, not when they have to come to the Arrowhead Invitational.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And so
and let's be honest, they're the defending Super Bowl champs. So until
until someone
beaten,
knocks them off, they're the team to beat. So
yeah,
I think that's a good way to put it. And Buffalo still remembers that they could lose in 13 seconds.
13 seconds.
That's all.
13. That's 13
seconds. As much time as Mahomes needs is 13 seconds to tie or win the game. So, well, thanks for joining us in this episode of the Kingdom Corner. Man, we are excited to watch the Chiefs and Vikings play this coming Sunday at 3:25. And this episode is brought to you by Oh Hey Threads, where a portion of every purchase goes to support missions all over the world, one super soft tea at a time. You can find them online at ohheythreads.com. We'll see you next time right here in the Kingdom Corner.